What's up, you guys? My name's Grady. I listen to country music on this channel and whatever else I want to. Today I am doing a roundup of all of the albums that came out in November that I want to cover. And after this, I'll be caught up with all of my album reviews. And I know I haven't listened to everything, but then we can really move into year-end stuff, which I'm very excited about and have been diligently preparing for a few months now. So let's jump right into this. Oh, and if you haven't seen one of these before, I start with my favorite and I go to my least favorite record that was released in November. My favorite record released in November is definitely the Pistol Annies' Interstate Gospel. Now, the Pistol Annies have been this side project of Miranda Lambert, Angelina Presley, and Ashley Monroe, and they've released a few records, and people kind of enjoy their vampiness and the fact that they're these gals that want to kiss you and then steal your money and be out the door. They're hell on heels, as they've always described themselves. And it's always had like an element of kitsch to it, and that is retained on Interstate Gospel, but I feel like it's enhanced as well, and that there's a real balance, and the three of them are making each other better on this record, rather than just playing dress up as the bad girls of country music. So I really think Interstate Gospel, in some ways, brings out the best in all three. I think Ashley on her own can be an incredible songwriter, but maybe a little too subdued. Angelina Presley can maybe put people off by being a little too brash. Miranda Lambert has always been the right balance of the two, but she was almost like wounded, it seemed, after the breakup with Blake Shelton, so much on the weight of these wings that it was perhaps a bit too quiet, or it didn't strike that balance for the public, even though I think those are really fine double albums. But it's almost like with her sisterhood, with the three of them together, it's bringing back that perfect balance, and they're really meshing on this record with great songwriting, great storytelling, and awesome sound. The harmonies start off great. It's got the right elements of fun on songs like Interstate Gospel and Got My Name Changed Back, which kind of are this love letter to sort of Interstate Gospel is going to be kind of like a love letter to the South and going back home and the kinship they feel with that place. I Got My Name Changed Back as a kind of brash, like divorce song. And this is definitely, I think, the breakup record almost that people were expecting the weight of these wings to be with Blake Shelton. I think it's actually here on Interstate Gospel. And I think there's a lot of great songs that result from it. The best of which is When I Was His Wife, which made me laugh. And it's got some, and it hurt too. It's one of those hurt so good type of songs. It starts off with Miranda Lambert saying, "He'd never cheat, he'd never lie, he'll love me forever till the day that we die, he'll never take me for granted." And I said that too when I was his wife. So it kind of has this twist, and it's got the best opening line of a chorus. It says, "When you're blinded by diamonds and driven by lust, honey, you can't build a mansion with a piece of sawdust." So it's this like really sad look back at a marriage, and there's a lot of this. There's a lot of trying to pick up the pieces and move on this record, and I think they're told really well. Milkman and even Best Years of My Life are songs about not ending up where you thought you were going to end up in life. And these are women now, I think in their 30s, that are just in different spots than they thought they'd be, and they've got each other's backs, but it's not all roses for them, you know? It's not. And so I think the kitsch of Pistol Annies with the note of seriousness that has been entered into this album through the breakup songs, and it's not just them being in power and antagonizing these sort of fictional characters, it really makes this, I think, an excellent, excellent record and something that's really fun to listen to. So I'm going to give this album like an 8 out of 10, and that's just kind of like when I really like an album, but I haven't thought enough about it, I tend to just give it an 8 out of 10. And so, but it is absolutely my favorite thing that I heard for the past month. Really, really impressed by it. And Cheyenne is a good song. This Too Shall Pass is a good song. It's a good record, guys. Go listen. It's good. The next album on my list is Adam Wakefield's Gods and Ghosts. Adam Wakefield is someone that I had heard about when he was on The Voice, but I don't keep up with The Voice. There's just too many seasons. It would be too hard to keep up with it all. I ride or die with American Idol, but even that I don't keep up with too much anymore, even though I love Maddie Poppy. I had heard about Adam Wakefield, and then I saw that he released an album, and I just really liked the cover of the album. Same reason I checked out Joshua Headley. I like this kind of retro, vinyl-looking album covers that people are putting out. And I think the whole retro look is the right look for this album because it is kind of like a retro album in that it's a traditional, true country music album. It sounds really, really great. And of course, if you release a traditional country music album, it has to be marketed now as singer-songwriter because country music's gone so far off the deep end. So on iTunes, you'd find it under singer-songwriter, but it is a country music record. There's even a song on there called She Loved Country Music. There is a lot of he's going to get a lot of comparisons to Chris Stapleton. And I don't say that just to be like, ooh, Adam Wakefield basically is a mini Chris Stapleton. But, I mean, the comparison is quite apt. They've got a raspy, incredible, belty voice that's got elements of soul and blues and country. And it just is so nice to listen to. I think this record is really good. I think it is simple in the right ways, but it's got some life to it. I actually think the album cover, even though it's what drew me in, I think it maybe is a little bit of a downer of a cover for something that is has actual lighter, happier moments on it. It's not just kind of like a sunken down record like, Rustin Kelly's or even Whitey Morgan's last record. So I think the best song on here, though, is a downer of a song. It's the title track, Gods and Ghosts, where he just does things with that melody. When he says, baby, there's sides of me that I'll only show to gods and ghosts. And I love how he delivers the hook, and it just is so interesting, and I think that song is incredible. So check out that record. I'll give it a 7. Next up is Kip Moore's Room to Spare, the acoustic sessions. I really like Kip Moore. I've always liked Kip Moore. I kind of like his attitude just as much as I like his music. I think he's kind of like the perfect example of someone that's in the Nashville system, working with the Nashville system, but also being able to do his own thing instead of just follow the Dustin Lynch assembly line. I really like how Kip I like that he understands his sound and he understands his fans. He's kind of like a heartland rock. He's really torchy. He kind of makes anthems, and it's going to be kind of like somewhere between, Bruce Springsteen and Chris Stapleton, because he's got that husky voice, but he's got this different kind of like rocker, almost hopeful, bad boy vibe about him, and it all works. And I think the fact that he's kind of doubled down and zeroed in on that sound over time has only showed that he really knows what he's doing. It's fun to hear him strip back without some of the production on this EP. These are all kind of acoustic songs, the best of which is one called It Ain't California, that it's just fun to hear him really go for it vocally and hear the passion that's there in his vocals. And yeah, I like that growl. I like this album. It's simple. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it just because it's an EP, and I think it's worth your time, and you should check it out, though. I'll give it a 6.8. Next on my list is Tucker Beathard's Nobody's Everything. Now, Tucker Beathard, you might remember, had a song in 2016 called Rock On, where that was that chorus, like, I should have put a rock on this girl's finger, but now he's going to rock on without her. That was a song when he was signed to Big Machine that went to number 2 at country radio. It was a huge hit. And then now it's like scrubbed from the internet, nowhere to be found. And I don't know what went down with Tucker and his label, but I guess he was stuck in label hell for a few years and never got to put out that album. And then the Big Machine scrubbed it from the internet or something. Something bad went down. But now he has come back 2 years later. He's released his first record, and I guess he's doing it indie. He's doing it solo or something. So he's put out this record called Nobody's Everything, and it's interesting. Tucker's a really good writer. I like how his songwriting sounds. He's got not a perfect voice, but he's got an interesting voice and an editorial voice, and I think he actually frames it pretty well on this record. This is kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. I compared it on Twitter to like Switchfoot mixed with kind of like country rock, because it's got like a kind of jaunty, kind of sunny sound to it, but this is a really sad record where you can tell he's almost dealing with a label breakup and talk about life taking you in a path you didn't expect to take it to. There's a lot of songs on here about perseverance, like Fight Like Hell, like Ride On. My favorite song is called Leave Me Alone, which, whether that's about an ex-lover or whether that's about his old label kind of still causing strife in his life, it is him just wanting to be moved on from it. So I think this record is supposed to be the first half of what's going to be 2 records, and this is the dark side, and then the light side will come at some other time. But I think it's definitely interesting, and it has me intrigued to see what's going to happen moving forward. I do think that there are some songs on here that aren't that special, and I do think that he needs to maybe push in one direction or the other if he's going to be kind of this more poppy rock sound or this more kind of country sound. But I think the lyrics are there and they're good. I think the issue with what I'm saying with the sound is that it kind of doesn't have the dynamics you want to have, maybe like a quieter verse and a loud chorus, and it doesn't create all of the excitement that music should create. But a few of the songs really nail it, and I'm excited to see where he's going, and I'm happy for him that this music is out into the world, because I can't imagine just having the carpet ripped out from under you. I think, Tucker might have been someone that people said, oh, he's just riding his father's coattails. Casey Beathard is his father. He writes with Eric Church. He's a very prolific songwriter. And people might have said, okay, you've just got a leg up in the industry. And clearly, that leg up didn't really matter for much. So now he's doing it on his own, and I hope it gives him the grit and perseverance to really thrive in music and in Nashville, because I think he's interesting. And I think his voice, with a little honing in, can be really good and really recognizable in a way that's good for him. So I'm going to give this record a 5.5 out of 10. And look forward to hearing more from him. The next album I'm going to talk about is Kane Brown's Experiment. I already did a full review of this. It's quite long, and I shot it twice. So why don't you just check that out if you want to know my extended thoughts on that record. I gave it a 4.3 in that video. I think there's some really good moments actually on it, and I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would, but there's some really terrible moments on it too. So give that a checkity-check and listen to Short Skirt Weather or Homesick. There's a few songs on there I do quite like. The last album I want to talk about is Wheeler Walker Jr.'s World War III. This record is from the kind of comedian / country troll Wheeler Walker Jr. I've reacted to him once before on this channel, and people think like I didn't get it. And I think at this point I definitely get it. And I get his shtick, and I get how he's kind of lampooning country music. But, as you know, on these videos, typically the album I'm talking about last in one of these videos is the one I enjoyed the least from the month. And I think even though he's kind of like a critic's favorite, even though he's really popular, I really would have to say that this is the record I enjoyed the least this month. And musically, I really liked it. I really like how rootsy it sounds. I like that it's kind of a fun, honky-tonkin' album. I enjoy the sound of live, good music. But I just feel like the shtick of this record and the shtick of Wheeler Walker Jr., it's getting kind of old to me. And I feel like there's ways that you can lampoon country music without just making the same joke, which is essentially just talking about like using profanity, talking about having sex in really crude terms, saying, I don't know, I already said using profanity, but I try not to use it on this channel because I ain't trying to get demonetized. But I just think that it's too cheap. Like, he's clearly smart. He's conceived this character, and it is really funny. And I'm not that prudish. I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts of like, Theo Von's podcast, for instance. Incredible piece of work. And it's certainly getting into dirty territory all the time. I actually don't mind it, but it's balanced with a real sincerity and a wit that makes me not mind at all. Not even not mind, enjoy it. Like the sex jokes on there. But with Wheeler Walker, I feel like we never get that next layer. There's lots of ways to be funny and to tell jokes that aren't just describing like some depraved sexual act that you did. And the fact that every single song, it just gets to sex somehow, it just gets kind of monotonous to me. And so there's this disconnect because I actually like Wheeler Walker Jr.'s role within the industry. I like that he kind of is this element of danger within country music, which I think is really needed. And I like that he kind of takes the piss out of an industry that takes itself way too seriously. I just think he could maybe do that even better or push even further without just making the same joke over and over again. You know what I mean? So lyrically, I just felt like this album was kind of a letdown. I think there's other things to say other than just kind of developing this Wheeler Walker kind of like dirty, bisexual, sort of bitter countryman or whatever he's kind of developed that just would make it a more fun listen if we could cover more subjects than that and actually maybe take on the industry lyrically, not just troll them on Twitter and make fun of Dan O'Shea on Twitter, but bring that into the music. And I just think that could be a lot more interesting and a lot more fun. So I'm going to give this record, I don't even know if I should grade it. Let's give it 2 grades. Like musically an 8. I like how it sounds. But lyrically like a 3, sorry, I feel like I'm going to get trolled a ton. Wheeler Walker might even troll me on this, but I just want more. Let me know what you guys think of that record. Let me know what you guys think of all of these records, and what else I need to check out from November. And there's not much coming out in December. It's just Brett Young and Mitchell Tenpenny. I don't know if they'll even get their own video. I listened to the Brett Young record this morning, and it was like eating a piece of white bread, which is not bad, but nothing to make a video about. So we will see. But year end will come up before that, and I'm really excited about some of the things on this channel. Give me a subscribe, give me a like if you want. If you don't like this video, you can dislike it, but you could also just not do that. That's my idea. Okay, later you guys. Good to be caught up with all of the good albums and bad albums that have come out this year. Later.